Is it a moonscape? Could it be a bombing range? To reach this breathless isolation, you fly 3 hours from Adelaide, bouncing through hot desert air. But remember, a few years ago you could only get here by camel. Harsh and cruel and ugly. Yet this is one of the most romantic towns in the world, where any day anyone can become a millionaire. So fortune hunters converge upon this scorched shambles in the South Australian desert, and when they get here find it's not impressive. The Aboriginals named it Coober Pedy, which means white man in a hole, and they're so right, for it can reach 140 degrees in the shade, if you can find any, the flies are thick, and however much the motel boasts, dust is inescapable. Yet for the past 60 years, men have beaten a solitary path here, put up with the life, and sometimes picked up a fortune. For Coober Pedy provides the world with its most vivid precious stone, opal. It can be worth more than £1,000 an ounce, so gold, they say, is merely cheap opal. There are only 2 motels in this desert outpost of jewels and ready cash, and most of their rooms have a most unusual and striking piece of bedroom furniture. All I want's a cold drink. Dealers buy opal from the miners with cash, you see, and they come here from all over.
Where are you from?
A place called Rochdale.
Rochdale.
Lancashire.
I've heard of it, yes, I've heard of it.
Yeah, I've been out here now 10 years, coming up and down to the Pedy, you know, and I've got a jeweller's shop in Adelaide.
Yeah.
So we come up, try to buy as much opal as we can, take it down, cut it and polish it and put it into jewellery.
Were you a jeweller in Lancashire?
No, a dental technician. I find this a little bit more lucrative.
God, but they're making false teeth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the end of the world, this place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's face it, I mean, it's dusty and windy and cold and hot. It's very hard to think of one good thing to say about it as a place.
The beer's good.
That's good.
We've just bought a piece of opal from a miner.
Yes.
This is what it looked like when we bought it. You can see there isn't much color to it on the outside.
Yes.
However, when we broke it open, we were very fascinated and happy to see that it was full of beautiful color.
And was I surprised when I saw that?
Marvellous.
Fantastic. And what I'm trying to create is a sunrise-sunset effect, you know, and these colours seem to have it, don't they?
Very much so.
As you roll it, you should get, if you can get a sunset to a sunrise, that's what will create a fantastic, you could name that stone, virtually you could name it, some unusual name as it comes out, and then it could be a very valuable stone.
What do you actually think this might be worth? This
Well,
one?
now, John's opinion, he figures when it's completely cut and finished,
Yeah.
it could be worth up to $75,000 now.
$75,000, that's £50,000 to me, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. £50,000.
It could be.
So if that's £50,000, if you could do this once a week, you could live on that.
Oh, that is one time in a lifetime you get a thing like that.
Really?
Yeah. And even the poor miner, I don't think he knew what he was selling, otherwise he wouldn't have sold it.
Such instant riches can bring double dealing. And when another buyer first rode into Coober, he learned the hard way it's a tough town. A Pakistani from Hong Kong, Farid Khan.
Those days I had no banks and I had to carry my own money around. And one night I was sleeping in my own hotel room and I had a lot of money under my bed and somebody decided to rob me. It was a very bad experience, but...
What did he do?
Well, he got a knife. I attacked him before he could do anything, and the knife went into my throat, you see.
Just about there?
Just about right here.
Right here.
And, but the flying doctor took me. There was only one policeman those days, and they took me to Port Augusta. They stitched me up good and proper. And 10 days later, I went back to Hong Kong. My mother felt a little bit sorry for me and said, don't go back to Australia. But my father said, must go back and try to make some money since you lost some blood there.
One of the buyers I was talking to said to me, in Coober Pedy, everyone's looking for a pigeon. Now, do they think you were a pigeon?
I don't think so now, anybody, because they only did that because I was a new chump in this business. They thought it easy to rob me.
No, but I mean, you stopped being a pigeon when you got your throat cut.
I'm now well prepared. I have a shotgun. I have a good defensive house that I built up. I have solid wires, fence around my windows. So from that point of view, I think I got good security, and anybody try to rob me have to think twice. I'm fully prepared because it's my time to take some blood from somebody. I can't afford to lose any more now.
Now that's a good one. It must be.
Yes, and in Australia this would bring $150, $180 a carat. And there's probably 6 carats there?
Yeah, but near enough 6 carats, Gary. You're right.
6 carats?
Yeah.
So it's worth money.
Say £700 to dealer Gary Grimes.
This is the nicest piece I have got here, weighing 2 ounces.
What is this worth to you, Gary?
$2,000.
And what are you asking for it for?
I would like to sell this piece of opal for $2,400. But there's a little difference between his price and my price.
You've got a buyer coming in.
Yeah, is that it?
Yeah, who's that? Can I have a look at you?
Harry.
Who?
Harry.
Harry, yeah. Will you come back in 10 minutes?
All right.
All right. Well, Gary, what about this lot here? What do you think of this lot?
You can only do this when I'm dealing with Farad, putting it in one hand, because if you do it to the miners, I think you might be going to nick it, so they make you put it on the table again.
Yes, they're a tough lot.
You first came here when you were in the police force.
That's right, yes.
Then you came riding into town after Farid Khan had his throat cut.
Well, up until then there was only one police officer, a young police officer, inexperienced. And then after that, after the Farid Khan episode, a police sergeant came up along with 2 or 3 officers, constables, and they stopped here for, well, they're here ever since, they're here now.
So what decided you that opal mining was more rewarding than police work?
I saw the lure of those days in the old motel down here, which was on this side here. Every night time there'd be 200 or 300 miners in the place, all spending $40, $50 each. And that's in 67, 68. And money was no problem to them. They had so much money they didn't know what to do with it. The money is still there.
What is surprising to me is that originally this was totally Australian, wasn't it? But now, I mean, your Godfather, or your richest miners, your clubs, they're all new Australian clubs.
They are, yes. Well, they moved into the town because the rewards were here and they were prepared to work hard. Some of them done very, very well. Some of their homes in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, on the Gold Coast in Queensland, they have to be seen to be believed.
See, to look at it now, it seems a very placid place, although perhaps it's I don't know, it's the last picture show sort of town, isn't it? But there is a lot of violence here.
It's a Croatian-Serbian thing. For instance, there was a fight at the hotel recently. It was a violent fight, and a lot of people became involved, a lot of people were hurt. One chap had his eyes kicked right in, and fractured skull and that type of thing, and he was in a very, very bad way. On several occasions, gelignite was dropped into dugouts through the hole in the top of the dugout. There were some serious injuries as a result too.
This must be one of the few places in the world where you can get gelignite just by walking into a supermarket.
You can, yes. Anyone can pick it up. We can go and get some now.
So this week's special offer at the Miners' Store is something you'll not find in your average supermarket. Nitroglycerin, $12.40 a bag. The customers are mainly the new Australian miners, the Yugoslavs, Greeks and Italians who form Cuba's Foreign Legion, though legionnaires would desert such a graveyard for machines and for men, where it can be 110 degrees when you're mining at midnight and it only rains 5 days in a really wet year.
How much is the water, George? $15 a thousand gallons.
Once water was available on Wednesdays only, but now everything's up to date in Coober Pedy, and there's a desalination plant run like everything else for cash. Miners won't pay taxes, let alone rates, so the 3,000 residents have no facilities like sanitation or street lighting, but they do have a progress association financed by its drive-in cinema, where film fans are asked to leave their explosives outside. All you do, everything you do, is financed by that screen, by the movies?
By the movies, yes. The movies do all our financing. Every bit of funds we have available is the proceeds of what we see here.
Your biggest money spinners, I believe, are the blue movies.
Well, they go a long way towards it, where we've got a population of probably 70%, or getting up towards 70% men, single men that are miners. they're interested in this. It's about the only side of it they see. But we have shown Greek films, Italian and Yugoslav, but unfortunately Yugoslav films become political, and you've got different factions here of the Yugoslav community.
So what was the Yugoslavians' reaction to a Yugoslavian film?
Well, some of them thought it was quite good, but that was those that were on the right side of the film. The others, we had one occasion where one chap threatened to blow the drive-in up and always going to shoot somebody for bringing that type of film into the town. But unfortunately, for us, we don't speak Yugoslav, so we don't know whether it's a political film or not. And we've got to take potluck on what they send us from Adelaide.
You can't go wrong with a nice, safe blue movie.
So the town's financed by softcore and run by a Venetian who was a camel driver when he arrived in Australia 15 years ago, but is now a benevolent grocer. Indeed, rather more than that.
And you and your two brothers, you're a sort of godfather here, aren't you? You run the joint,
Well,
really.
more or less.
You run the town. As you own this place, another brother owns a hotel, another brother owns the transport system that
correct.
comes up here.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
you've got the place really
complex.
tied up.
Well, apparently, you know, we just went in on the transport and with the store and the hotel. In that way, we don't depend on somebody else.
But everyone else depends on you.
Well, apparently, yes.
Now, you lend a lot of money to the miners. You stake them.
Correct.
Now, to what extent are they into credit with you, some of the miners? What sort of figure?
Well, I think it was no limit. I believe it went up to $12,000. Someone.
One man?
Only one man.
Yes.
Some other maybe only $50.
The man who owed you $12,000, has he paid you back? Or is he still in credit?
No, we paid back.
When he had a strike? And what about the ones you stake and who don't make a strike and then just disappear? What do you do about that?
Yes, you have to keep on your book and try to, you know, read and remember.
Now, you've had a bit of bad luck with fire because this whole place was burnt down.
That's correct.
And your brother's hotel was burnt down.
That's correct.
Now, do you think somebody put a match to them? Is this an enemy?
Well, but hard to say, really. That's what the town talking about. They reckon that it's been done for purpose.
There's all the danger and violence of a 19th century gold rush in this shimmering desert, where it's estimated some £10 million worth of opals dug up each year. To buy a dilapidated dirt lifter or drill can cost a group of miners up to £50,000, though if they strike opal, they'll make that in a day. The lunar fields surround the town, and anyone can pick up a miner's right for £7 and mine 50 square metres for a year. But they have to decide where. Experienced miners say there's no better way than throwing your hat in the air and wherever it falls, dig.
The shafts within this area go from, I would say, 30 to 80 feet deep.
80 feet down.
About 80 feet down.
See, if this is pay dirt, as it were, it doesn't look very glamorous, but it looks like china clay.
No. They have to go down and find the opal-bearing level before there's any possibility of even finding opal.
The sides have been known to
Careful.
cave in, haven't they?
Right. Not too much. No, drop that down there.
You think there's someone down there?
No, there isn't.
We're not going to hit anyone.
No. Listen. Now, that's a good deep shaft.
It's still going. Is this the place for someone like myself to come and buy an opal? Hot from the ground?
Not quite, because the miners are always looking for a pigeon, so to speak. And
That's me.
that's you.
Yeah.
And if they can flog off a piece of rubbish to you at a good price, they will.
I'm rather unpopular around here because I'm television, I'm publicity, I'm a
yes.
tax man.
Mm-hmm. The miners are very suspicious of any outsider coming in that might document, you might say, what they're doing for taxation purposes.
Yes.
The chap back here now, he's, as I notice him, he's preparing for dynamite. I'll better put the cigarette away.
Oh, yes, gosh. But playing around with nitroglycerine like this, isn't this dangerous?
And sometimes in the air, more electricity, sometimes less, you know?
Yes.
When it's in the air, lots of electricity, you know? It's very hot and then explode, you know?
And what happens then?
Cut hands and fingers, eyes, depends, you know?
Blow you up. A lot of times they will take and print those with their teeth, which isn't a very smart thing to do, but they have done it.
That's why a lot of people got false teeth here, is it?
Could be.
Opal fields always look deserted because the miners are all below ground digging away.
45 feet only from here to the top, which is about a median depth for the kind of shafts you get in Coober Pedy. You'll see that there are steps cut in the side all the way up. In the old days, they never worried about ladders. They simply tossed a rope down. And the idea is you haul your feet up against the wall and you chimney climb your way up and down.
What sort of person do you have to be an opal miner?
In one way, you have to be quite mad.
Mad?
Indeed. Well, shall we say, it's an independence of spirit. It's one of those few places left where the small person, the little fellow, has a chance of doing his own thing and doing very well at it. Actually, here in Coober Pedy, if you try to get a job, you can't. You'll be told quick smartly that you've got a pair of hands and you've got a few tools, go and dig. And that's what you do.
It does seem, as you say, the last stronghold of free enterprise, because there are no big battalions down here, there are no mining companies, there are no trade unions here.
Oh no, very few trade unions, because everyone works for themselves. We don't want limits on how long and how hard we want to work. By the way, now, this is what we call a slide. This is typically what the opal miner looks for. And when he finds this kind of formation, then he throws his hat in the air. This mine has had about 9 or 10 different owners, you know, and each one has thought they've found the lot. They pull their pegs, go somewhere else, the next man comes in and he gets a little fortune. Yet, time and again, you miss opal. I've missed a fortune on the 11-mile field, for instance. Missed $120,000 worth by 3 feet. This happens to anyone. There's always the excitement in this place that keeps you going, you know. It's a magic, it's a hypnotic thing.
I'm amazed that they can look after their mines. They can't, when they've got a hole like this, they can't walk away and close the door and lock it up.
Not really, no. Yes, we do have trouble with what's known as moonlighters or claim ratters, night shift workers, sort of. Well, there's not much we can do about it. They do go down the mines, and we know they inspect the mines, and sometimes they get a bit out. But it's surprising, you know. They know the risk they take, these moonlighters. There are thousands and thousands of shafts around Coober Pedy, and every now and again, someone digs up a body. They know the risk they take, as I say, see?
Yes,
there are ways of dealing with them.
I thought yesterday it's the easiest place in the world to dispose of a body, because it's a hole.
Certainly.
Down they go, they're 60 feet below ground.
Well, we have our own way of justice. I mean, that's what happens in Coober Pedy. People do the wrong things, well, they get punished all right, and the police are told afterwards. Just 3 feet away now is the end of our claim. Interesting, there's a friend of ours, a miner friend of ours, who has a new bedroom not far away, just 15 feet away.
An underground bedroom?
That's right, yes. Oh, yes, of course, a dugout, in a dugout. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So he dug an extra bedroom in his dugout this way, and just 15 feet away from the edge of our claim, all this particular trace made, as we say, a pocket of opal. He dug out a beautiful $70,000 pocket of opal in his new bedroom.
Lucky miners live the life of Flintstone in homes drilled or blasted out of rock. On that moonscape up above, it's 120 degrees and you burn if you touch metal, but down here it's always an even 75 and you live without flies or dust, windows or wallpaper. Married cave dwellers contrive a cosily domesticated life surrounded by sandstone. All the posh homes have only one door, and the troglodytes within are Coober's envied aristocrats, living and working in one of the least hospitable places on earth. The opal field that brought them here was discovered by a 14-year-old in 1915, when you could trip over opal in this main street. The oldest miner arrived here in 1936 to build a dingo fence, and for the last 20 years has lived in this decrepit caravan. Though he can't read or write, Billy Stretton's coped with Coober.
When you're going to get a bottle behind the back of the neck or anything like that thrown at you.
I'm told you can still find a body or two at the bottom of some of the pits.
There's supposed to be a lot of natives here somewhere shot and buried down the holes, and a lot of New Australian people here. You get on the drink and they start fighting knives and revolvers and one thing or another. I know there's been 2 or 3 shot around here, but they say it's accidental shooting, but no, I don't know.
Some of the New Australians have rather short tempers, I believe.
Oh, terrible. Yes, you've only got to sort of look at the man side or say something to him, and next thing you get a chair over the head of someone.
Miners and their wives amuse themselves at the Italian club. At a Coober party, somebody once counted 65 different nationalities. The opal fever of these immigrants is contagious. And a group of them dug up £1 million worth in one day, or that's the rumour. For in Coober, truth's more elusive than opal. Miners are suspicious of a stranger who could be a taxman and of each other in case they come digging near a promising claim. Struggling to impose law and order on Coober are 8 policemen who get hardship pay and do a little mining on the side. On night patrol, Constable Des Roffey hunts the ruthless men who break into claims.
Night shifting, ratting, anything like this, they've all got their terms for it.
Now, what would they be doing? I mean, how would they go about it?
They'd locate the shaft, which has got the ladders, and these ladders here go for 60 feet. So they'd go down, you'd generally have a watch, and then, depending how cheeky they are, some may even start the blower and work it that way. Use the explosives if there's any left here, take any dirt that may be left there, check levels, and then try and remove any opal if there's any there.
But would somebody come ratting here? Because we're what, only, say, half a mile off the Alice Springs Road.
Wouldn't make any difference to them, because when there's a lot of money involved, they'll take any risk.
The other thing I've heard is that there are more illegal guns here in Coober than anywhere else in Australia.
Big market for pistols here. Everybody likes to have one. People are on opal. It's not uncommon at night for firearms to be used, explosives to go off. Yeah, we've taken statements where the sounds of machine guns have been heard out in the fields. But, it's very difficult to get people to come in and lodge a complaint with us because of fear of reprisals.
It's a very secretive way of life, isn't it? I mean, if they have a good strike, they're frightened that anyone should know about it. If they've been frightened or been robbed, presumably they're also frightened if they're worried about reprisals.
For sure. When you've got a lot of money, they don't want the taxman sweeping.
Now, you're speaking from the heart here, because most of the policemen here are mining as well, I believe.
Not really, but it's a bit of a hobby. We come out and scratch around. We've got to have something to do.
Yeah. Any luck?
Oh, not really.
I see. Yes, I understand. OK. Though Orientals believe an opal protects its wearer's health, in the West it's said to bring bad luck. Louis XIV had a drunken coachman called Opal, legend has it, and courtiers knowing of his accidents warned each other, Opal's unlucky. Certainly it's unlucky for those miners who dig for years and barely make tucker money, and for some of Coober's aboriginals who, it's believed, have an instinct for finding gems, though they seem more interested in alcohol than opal.
Lord God, we praise and we thank you for everything that you've given us. We pray particularly today for our brothers and sisters who we call Aborigine. Particularly we pray for their drinking problems, Father. Well, there's a prayer and share group tonight at 7:30 in George McCormack's dugout.
Coober's only church is underground, of course, excavated in the shape of a cross from a miner's dugout, though no opal was found in this consecrated cave. Above the church, Coober's only tree has long since given up the ghost.
After a big strike, the miners would blow their money.
In particular, some of the Greek fellows who came up here in the early days found a lot of money very quickly, something in the area of £300,000 in 1962, which was quite a bit of money. And the 3 Greek boys who found the opal went to Sydney. They solicited a taxi driver to find them women and offered £100 each for each woman brought to their room at a motel in Sydney, and the taxi driver fronted up with about 46 women during the evening. And of course they soon went through their money, and they came back and they found money straight away again. And they went through that also. But and since then, of course, they had a slack period between 1963 and 1968 where they found nothing. Then in 68 they found another big quantity of opal, probably in the vicinity of $1 million.
And how are they today?
They're broke again.
But the lure of Coober Pedy is too strong for fortune hunters to resist. Some will find it a hostile land of opportunity with its opal and riches, but others will never leave the sandstone that would not surrender to them. There's no cure for opal fever.